G'day everyone, Nathan here at Glass for Classics. Now we're going to run through today the best way of bending the Bailey channels that we supply. These particular ones have the stainless steel edge on, so we do get asked a lot how to do it. What I'm going to show you, if you come in and have a look at this, these particular Bailey channels that we supply, they have a perforated spine. So the spine is actually separated all the way through, which allows it to bend properly. The cheaper versions that you can get, they're absolute garbage. They've got a corrugated spine on them, and what happens is when you try to bend it, they end up puckering and pleating. So we're going to run you through the best way to get a nice smooth bend on these without kinking the stainless steel on them. So you'll see here, this is the one that we've done earlier. It's got a nice gentle sweep in it. We'll run you through the best way of doing this. Now, I'll use this as an example. On the ends of these, when these have been cut from the factory, or if they've been cut to send out to you, you can see these are being cut with a grinder. What happens is the stainless edging on this and the steel bead on the inside end up basically fusing together and becoming one. When you bend this, the stainless steel has to be able to slide along the length. If this stainless can't slide, this is becoming a tighter radius than the outside. You're going to end up popping the stainless or kinking it. So we've gone ahead, we've already flared the ends of this open. We get some needle nose pliers. If you come in nice and close here, this is what we've done already. So we just got a pair of needle nose pliers and we've just pulled the ends off this just a little bit to allow it to slide along the end without it being pinched. So grabbing our new one here, the one that's straight, we're going to bend this over the old door glass. A lot of people try and bend it in the door. It's too hard to do. You're going to be going back and forth. The idea is that you bend this with it slightly oversized, then you can go and trim it back. So by using an old piece of door glass, you know, everyone's got one lying around, at least you're going to get the correct radius that you need. Now the key when you're bending this is you want to hang it past the edge of the glass just a few millimeters. That way you can trim it back. So what we're going to do, we're just going to sit this on here. The end is hanging past just a little bit. We're going to hold this down. Now as you bend this, don't bend it all in one go. You want to do 5 or 10 degrees at a time, and what's going to happen is this end here will start to curl. So we're going to bend it 5 or 10 degrees at a time, straighten this end out, keep bending it. This is a large radius, so it's quite straightforward. I'll show you doing a tighter radius shortly, but we'll start with this for now. So making sure we're hanging past here, we're just going to bend this slightly, straightening this end out as we go so that the stainless isn't curling around. Keep holding it tight and keep pinching this against the glass. If you're not pinching it against the glass, you risk it flaring open and again the stainless popping off. So we're going to keep bending it, straightening this end out as we go, making sure that the spine is separating the way it's meant to through there. Now we're starting to get this in. This is the important part. From here, give it a slight bend by hand and come back and check it across the radius. Now this is obviously going to have some spring in it, so when you actually put it in the door, it's going to hold itself where it needs to be. So you don't need to get it 100% the shape. As long as your radius through here is nice and smooth all the way around, that's then going to allow you to finesse this once it gets into the door. So we're happy with that. That's sitting nice and tight all through here when I press on it. So the shape is correct. So what you can then do with this is take this back to the car. You're going to drop this down. It really doesn't matter if the bottom is too long. What you're then going to do is slide that down in the door and just mark where your vent post comes to. For most of these early vehicles, they do have a vent post, so just mark where that comes to. Use a 1mm cutting disc on the angle grinder. Don't use side cutters or tin snips. It'll just mush the end of it up and make a real mess. So what I'll do now, these ones are both ready to go. They're both looking fine. So I'm going to run you through doing a tighter radius because it's a slightly different process. So we'll do that in a second for you. Alright, now this is going to be, you can see it's a much tighter radius. So this is going to require a little more finesse than these larger radius ones are going to do. I've got an offcut here that I'm going to use for the sake of demonstration, so ignore the fact that it's not long enough. Similar process, but you're going to have to be a lot more careful. So as we bend through here, you can see on these ones, these are very good quality. The spine starts to separate, so I'm going to keep straightening that out. And we're just going to keep working our way around. See how this is starting to come around now? bit of pressure here, because otherwise you just put leaning that over. So a bit of pressure here will help that bend start to come around. Again, we're going to straighten this. On yours, you'll probably have a long tail hanging off the bottom where it goes down into the door. Making sure, as you saw me do on the first one, that you do straighten that tail out as you go. But again, keep pressure on the sides of this and keep bending it as you go. Now, again, it's naturally springing out. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this off. Using your thumb pressure, these are nice and easy to bend. That requires very little effort. We're just going to put a little bit more bend in it than what it needs, so that when we sit it on here, it's nice and tight on the glass. It's not moving. So this is going to be nice all the way through. And you can see on this, we haven't popped the stainless. It's nice and neat all the way through. To neaten this radius up here, use your thumb again and put a little bit of effort into it. And that's going to come up nice and smooth all the way through. Now, be aware, Bailey channels, you get what you pay for. There's a reason some of these cost $100 and there's a reason some of them cost $60. You saw the cheaper ones before. They won't bend. There are other ones that you can get with these that have a metal spine all the way across the back. What happens is, because that spine is on the back, it won't separate. So when you bend this, the stainless is doing all the work. The stainless is having to slide, whereas with these ones, when you bend this, the back is opening up. It's going to be a lot easier. So spend the money, get some good quality ones if you're doing anything custom. As I said, we do keep these. We also have the door belts that you might need that will match these with the nice stainless steel edge. Be sure to check out our other video on how to bend the door belts accordingly, so you don't ruin those either. So feel free to give us a call. Our number is 1300 442 000. We're based here on the Gold Coast in Australia, but sending all over the country, so feel free to get in contact if you've got any questions at all.